Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to fill out an assessment report for library instruction. I will send you the link to the form, which will bring you to this Google form to fill out. You are going to enter your name and you are going to decide whether you're doing initial assessment or reassessment following an intervention, which is a change you made in your delivery of library instruction, or if you're doing both steps 1 and 2 at the same time. Most of us will be doing initial assessment. If you have questions as you're filling out the form, of course, you can ask me or Renee Smith, or you can actually click to go to the Gaucho site, which brings you up here, and it explains some of the instructions on the form. So initial assessment is when you have taught a library instruction session, maybe a one-shot, and you want to see if your students were able to show evidence of student learning. So evidence of student learning, you're going to select your current academic year and what type of library instruction you're reporting on. I'm going to show you an example for a one-shot library instruction. And we do not have Common Course assessment currently in the library, so say no for that. And number of student interactions assessed is the number of students in the class. I taught a Psych 290 class and there were 20 students, so my number is 20. I was the one full-time faculty who was a part of this assessment. There were 0 part-time faculty. And GCC has a number of institutional learning outcomes, and you just need to decide which of these your library instruction relates to. Of course, we're going to select information literacy. We might also select critical and creative thinking or any of these skills. And unless, and then if you're assessing information literacy, decide which areas you addressed. I had students access the needed information. They were also using information effectively to accomplish a specific purpose. And they were evaluating information at sources, but the focus was really on finding it and using it. Unless you're teaching a course in Canvas, you're probably going to say no as to whether you use the ILO rubric. And semester it took place, the library instruction. And here is the student learning outcome being assessed. The instructions tell you how the SLO should be written with a timing, a verb, an object, and a context. Here is the example SLO that I wrote for this session. By the end of this session, this information literacy library instruction session, students will be able to retrieve scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles in psychology for use in their Psych 290 experiment design. I am measuring whether they were able to find those articles. And just a reminder, we are not measuring student satisfaction and if they liked our teaching or found us approachable and friendly. This is solely measuring their learning and whether you have proof of learning. So then you want to select any of the teaching or presentation methods that you used. I lectured, I did demonstrations, and I had the students work in small groups. Then I have to decide whether my assessment was formative or summative, whether it was direct or indirect. So you can refer to the chart to see what your assessment was and just write it down, either formative direct, formative indirect, summative direct, or summative indirect. You can refer to the chart. Then let us know what your scoring measure was. I had students email me examples. And I was then able to count how many actually found an appropriate type of article as opposed to those who did not. Next, you need to enter the percentage of students who achieved proficiency. And they do want a whole number in this field. So if only, and you're going to have to do the math on this, but if all 20 students succeeded, I would put 100. And if, you know, if only 90% of them succeeded, I would put 90. And say that only half of the students achieve proficiency, I would really want to look at that and think about what I could change that would explain the concepts better. If maybe 50% of my students failed to send me a scholarly peer-reviewed article in psychology, that would probably tell me I really need to change something. And when you change something, it is called intervention. And that's just taking a different approach to the same type of lesson. And then you can describe your achievement results. This is where you can kind of reflect on your satisfaction with how the lesson went. It tells you not to include identifiable student information. I'm just going to put nothing right now. And if you're not yet ready to report on the intervention and reassessment results, select that. If maybe you taught a class at 10 o'clock and then you taught the same class at noon, and in between those two time periods, you changed something and readjusted, then maybe you are ready to report the intervention results. But in general, you're going to say you're not yet ready. And plans for intervention, things that you might change, just select that here. You are not married to whatever you put here. You are not locked into what you decide. I might, have some pedagogical improvements, or maybe if I'm working with some other faculty, I might talk to them more about what their expectations are and what mine are. And then optional comments. And when you're all done, you will submit. Please ask Karen or Renee if you have any questions.